Good evening and welcome to the April 1st meeting of the Glenville Town Board. Please rise for invocation and pledge of allegiance. As some of you know, on the invocation, I sometimes try to find an invocation that matches the theme of the night. And with the swearing in of a new board member, I figured, as I thought about El Bullan, what came to my mind immediately was Ralph Waldo Emerson. And I found a poem that I think would be appropriate for tonight. So please join me in prayer. It's entitled, That Man is a Success. Ralph Waldo Emerson. That man is a success who has lived well, laughed often, and loved much, who has gained the respect of an intelligent man and the love of children, who has filled his niche and has accomplished his task, who leaves the world better than he found it, whether through a perfect poem or a rescued soul. That man who never lacked appreciation of the earth's beauty or failed to express it, who looked for the best in others and who gave the best he had. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we are not going to call the roll. We are going to change the agenda slightly so that we can have our newest board member join tonight, and that person will have to be part of the roll call. So what we will do is move on consent from the board, item number 8, taking up the resolution appointing Ellen Bullan to above the roll call, and then we'll move item number 5 after 8, and then we'll move into item number 3, which is the roll call. That makes sense to everybody, and there's no objection. We'll move on to that. So, for resolution number 8, do I have a motion?
So
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. For point of discussion, as I think everybody knows, we had a vacancy on the town board this past year. It was unfortunate that Councilman Ramatar created the vacancy, and we miss you, Sid, so good to see you back here tonight. The town board designated the town supervisor, Councilwoman Gina Worsbowski, Deputy Supervisor Jeremy McFarland, and Attorney Mike Cuevas to serve on the committee to interview all those interested in being appointed to the vacancy. We interviewed 9 residents, town residents, who have submitted resumes and requested interviews. We were impressed with the number of qualifications of the applicants, but one candidate particularly impressed the committee because of his prior service to the town, his experience with operations of town government, and his knowledge of the issues the town must address. And whereas in consideration of the applicant's qualifications and the current needs of the town board and the residents of the town, the committee unanimously recommended town board to appoint Ellen J. Bullan to fill the vacancy of the board. This appointment, of course, would run through the end of this year, and then, of course, this seat would be up in the general election in 2015. So with that as the background, any questions, comments, concerns?
I would just like to thank all the residents that submitted their names for consideration and took the time out of their day to come in and interview with us. It was a very difficult choice. We had several people who were very high on the list for us as well. And hopefully we'll be able to have them become involved with the town in other ways because they clearly have a dedication to the town of Glenville that is shown by their interest in the open seat. So I would like to just thank everybody who did take their time to submit their names for consideration. It's always good to see residents who want to be involved.
Yeah, I would like to echo that, having gone through that process once myself. I think Gina went through that as well. I can relate.
John as well?
Yeah, that's true. That's right. So it's good to see the residents that are interested, and there's other ways that they can help the town. Hopefully we can discover those ways. And I also want to thank the committee for their work and effort in doing this. This was a long day, and a lot of thought and consideration went into it, and I want to extend my appreciation for the effort they made in coming back with a good recommendation.
I totally agree, and there's not much to add.
And I agree with that. So with that, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Tattelbaum?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Congratulations, Alan. We will now move on to item number 5, which is a swearing in, which if you want to come up, we will do. Do we have his name tag?
Yes.
Oh, it's down there.
Vacancy.
This feels weird.
Is this going to the category? Where's Waldo?
Yeah, this feels weird. Yeah, you want to be there, so if you want to invite him.
Do you need someone to hold the Bible?
Raise your right hand. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Ellen J. Goulant,
I, Alan J. Boulan,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
I will support the Constitution
and the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
and the laws of the State of New York,
and the laws of the State of New York,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of town board member
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the town board
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Welcome.
Probably should have never left in the first place. Short and sweet.
That's what we like it for.
Just more time for the supervisor report. Thank you. Okay, so now we are back to item number 3. Can you please call the roll?
Councilman Martin?
Here.
Councilman Tattelbaum?
Here.
Councilman Boulan?
Here.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Here.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Here. Moving on to council reports, item number 4. I always start on my left. Councilman Boulan, anything to report?
The Mets are looking good this year.
Thank you. Councilwoman Wozzachowski.
I have no report, Mr. Supervisor.
Councilman Martin.
Yes, just one thing. We had our first meeting of the Residents Advisory Committee to the comprehensive plan formulation and development, and that was held in this room on Monday night. It's a very, very good group. We had a very good discussion and essentially came to an understanding as to the role of the committee, and that will be in an oversight capacity in the development of the document. We certainly look forward to their input and valuable contribution, and it was a good meeting, and happy to have that another step on the way.
Excellent. Thank you. Councilman Pitlavani.
Last week, I attended the Scotia Glenville Dare Advisory Board meeting, and unfortunately, we are not going to have a golf tournament this year.
Oh, no.
Because of our late start, and we've had some retirements, some people stepped down from the board. We are looking to revitalize the board and hope to have it again next year. But the DARE program is still going strong in the town, and our DARE officer is currently there doing the program as we speak. Not right now, but as currently. But unfortunately, we're going to have to postpone the tournament and take a year off until next year.
That is most unfortunate.
Yeah.
It is. It was like our 15th or 16th tournament. Oh,
Thanks for the bad news, John.
Thanks a lot.
we can still golf though.
That's right. Anything else?
That's it.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to item number 6, which is privilege of the floor. Nobody has signed up. Does anybody wish to be heard at privilege of the floor? Seeing none, privilege of the floor is now closed. Move on to supervisor's comments to the board. Just briefly, a few things, and then just a few things on the budget, and take questions or comments after that. Before I forget, I think you all received the invitation. The Good News Lunch is the 30th. Wolf Hollow Brewery is being honored as one of the Good News recipients. And we have a table from the town which is filled. It's just $47 each. I'll put the form in for the table, but I think just about everybody, I think John, we haven't heard from you yet.
I saw it after it was already filled.
Oh,
Yes.
it's filled. We'll make room for you if you want to come. We'll find room. Let me know.
The food's supposed to be better this year.
Yeah.
Is it? Is lunch going to be done?
We, review some of the things that happened over the past week or two. I had a chance to meet with the Intermunicipal Cooperation Committee at the county level, where the supervisors meet with some of the county legislators and leadership and talk about ideas for shared services across the county. One of the ideas coming out of that then led to a DPW shared services meeting that Commissioner Coppola attended just recently. But we talked about a lot of different ideas going forward, what we can do with the county, with the other municipalities to share services. Nothing concrete, but it started the conversation, and we'll continue to have that conversation. The county committed to reauthorizing this committee, which used to meet all the time, and then during the UCC thing, it kind of stopped, and now they're picking it up again. So that's good news, and I'll keep you apprised of what comes out of that. I also spent some time looking at another vendor. I reported on this last time as part of our open data project that we're working on this year, and using technology in better ways for our residents and for our staff to be more efficient. One of the things we're looking at is what we call that E311 system. If you all recall, 311 was put into place in New York City as a way of residents interfacing with departments on what, if there's a pothole or if there's this or if there's that. There's now an E11 where electronically residents can report things, and then it's easier for staff to respond to and to track, and it's really a neat system. I've kind of boiled it down to one or two vendors, and we're going to be meeting in this room tomorrow with some department heads to view the 311 system, how it works, and see if we want to go forward or not, if it's worth the efficiencies we think it will bring to our residents and to our staff. So we're continuing to work on that. I also had an opportunity to meet with Congressman Tonko to talk about infrastructure needs. He held a little summit of community leaders to talk about the problems with this past winter, obviously with all of our infrastructure freezing and breaking, and of course it's getting to an age where everything needs to be replaced. We talked about our needs and going forward, and resources, and what we might be able to do in the future. So working with Commissioner Coppola, one of the things they're asking for is an inventory of our infrastructure. How many miles of pipes, how many fittings, how many different things, what are our weak points, where are our concerns, and so they can start to put together a needs list going forward. And if there's money in the federal budget, which I think they're talking about, for infrastructure improvement, we would be able to submit for those. Councilman Martin and I met with the traffic engineer. They're working on presenting us with a study, we hope, by the April, Let's Talk Business is April 16th. Don't forget, Let's Talk Business is April 16th down at the Lighthouse. Hopefully they'll have a study back by then, so we have some more data. We do know preliminarily, talking to them, that the traffic counts have increased since the last time we've talked. I don't know by how much yet, but there has been an increase, and I think we anticipated that, but it does confirm that. So we're working forward. We've asked them to model out what we think might be a potential for development down in the Lower Freeman's Bridge Road corridor as part of the traffic study, and so we'll have that hopefully by the 16th. And I know Jim and I have to talk about some thoughts about that April 16th meeting as well. I had an opportunity to meet with Trustee Lockwood regarding the potential for the town and the village to share a municipal center. Trustee Lockwood took that back to the village trustees to talk about going forward with the town in a joint center, and the majority of the trustees indicated that they were not interested in going forward in a joint center. Doesn't surprise me. I see it surprises you, but it doesn't surprise me, because that's the answer I've been getting for 4 years. And I advised Trustee Lockwood that we now have to move forward as a town. We can't sit and wait any longer. Hopefully someday we'll be able to visit some idea again, but we need to do what we need to do now to move forward. We've done everything we can. Can't be a shotgun wedding, and that's just the way it is. So we'll just move forward. There was some talk of continuing to look at ways of sharing other facilities, but not a municipal center at this time. I did speak to Senator Schumer's office as well as we we'll have a resolution next week, I'm sorry, the 18th, the 15th, I get the calendar in my head straight, appointing a engineer to do the study for the Route 50 sewer expansion. I did talk to Senator Schumer's office about potentially some money to help with that expansion going forward, grant money. And we had a good conversation. And while I had him on the phone, I brought up the concern that we've been having with the post office here in Town Center and how it looks a little bit unfriendly. As you know, as you recall, we've gone through a meeting with them directly. We've engaged Congressman Tonko's office and met with the postmaster. And now we're going to Senator Schumer because the postmaster doesn't think that it needs any upgrades down there at all. He thinks that fence is perfectly beautiful. I remind him of the Burn Hills one, has a nice brick facade on the front. So I did take the opportunity to talk to Schumer's office about helping us with that, and they said they would get back to us. This morning I had the pleasure to join the YMCA and honor 2 educators, one from Burn Hills, one from Scotia Glenville, and 13 students, each from those 2 school districts, for their excellence in community service and education. And it was a nice breakfast, but we have some great kids in both those districts that were nice to honor, and so I enjoyed that fully. Lastly, just real quick, we talked about the tax freeze, and I think you all know, but just to frame it for everybody so we're sure, in 2016 we need to stay under the tax cap. That's step 1. Step 2, we have to show $85,000 in savings or reduced spending in our budget in order for our residents to get back the levy increase. Okay, so we have 2 things we have to achieve. Stay under the tax cap and cut the 1% off our tax levy, which is $85,000 for us. First decision we have to make is, do we want to go in on this alone as our own plan, because I have to, the board has to, and I have to certify a plan that shows that we will achieve those savings in 2016, again in 2017, and yet again in 2018. And I have to sign that we will make our best efforts. Now, so far, thank God, there's not a penalty in this law for not meeting those goals. But the point is, we can do that as a local municipality. Now, for 2016, we're in good shape. We can meet our obligation for 2016. The county has asked that all the municipalities join into a county submission. So we would become part of the county. We would still have to present our savings and our plan for future savings. I would still have to sign it. It would go to the county. The county then would have to sign off on it. And the aggregate amount in that tax levy is $1.5 million. So the county would have to show a savings of $1.5 million across all the plans. Their plan, Rotterdam's plan, our plan, Niskayuna, and so forth. I think they can do that. The only risk is if we go in with the county and something happens and the county does not make it, our residents will be penalized, even though we made it individually. If we go in as individuals, we have complete control over our destiny. There might be a thought that the county doesn't have the $1.5 million without all the municipalities participating. So just to reverse that, that means the county taxpayer may not get it back if the county doesn't make it, which are our taxpayers too. Jim?
Is there any chance that we could go a year-to-year agreement with the county on that?
The problem is the governor's program requires a 3-year. This year we have to certify 3 years.
So
Once we're in, we're in.
So we have to be all 3 years with the county or all 3 years on our own?
Once we're pregnant, we're pregnant.
Okay.
So that's a decision we have to make very shortly because I think they want to know by April 13th. So it's really comes down to we're good on our own. We love to help them if we can, but we throw a lot in with them.
Is that by resolution we have to do that?
I don't think it's by, where's Jason? Not by resolution. No. I just need a consensus from the board.
Right now.
No. Excuse me. No.
Okay, good, because I have to think about
Still
this.
going through changes here. I get nervous when I talk about this stuff. So just please keep in the back of your mind, we have to find that $85,000 cut. 2016, not a big deal, we're there. 2017, 2018, it's gonna get a little hairy, no question about it. So Jason and I have tossed around a lot of ideas. I've reached out to all the department heads, asked them to give me their cost-cutting ideas so that we can include them. And now, take that challenge and let's talk about the tax cap for a minute. Because we all know it's 2% or CPI, whichever is lower. And this year, so far, 8 months into that year, 8 months into the CPI year, we are only at 1.1. So this is a little bit of a switch. Mike's a little bit of a pessimist, and I'm the optimist. But Mike says we may end up in negative territory before the CPI year is up, meaning that our spending, we don't believe would be negative. We believe would be flatlined. I don't think we're going to get there. I think we should plan for about a 1% cap. The 1% cap is $100,000 in new spending. Put that in perspective, we typically absorb $100,000 in the health insurance line alone. We have other contractual expenses that will probably cost us another $80,000 next year. So we, without anything else, we're not talking about any other lines, are already at about $180,000 on a $100,000 cap. Well, we have to trim $85,000 off the levy. So there are challenges ahead. I know it's only April, but I think we have to be aware there are challenges ahead looking into 2016. On the mortgage tax revenue line, because that is the one line that we have some opportunity for growth, we're not seeing any. You know the bad news there that we took a big hit last year. Mortgage tax tumbled from $675,000 of what we budgeted, $675. It only came in at $540, so we were $135,000 short last year. In the budget this year, we reduced it to $525,000. We're on track for hitting about that right now, but that's a very low number for mortgage tax historically for us. We've typically been in the $600,000-$700,000 range. So that revenue line has taken a hit, and it seems to have stayed kind of leveled out, down around 525 or so, 530. So that's the report I have. Any questions or comments?
Just on the sharing thing there with the village, any interest in, I know you mentioned maybe some other departments, any interest in sharing highway and DPW services?
Yeah,
That strikes me as one area where we really could.
Yeah. So we have been working, the town has been working with the school districts on trying to find a way to share that particular department.
Right.
And the school districts are very open. And by the way, that's an agreement, that's an agreement if we can save money, we can use as part of our tax freeze program. I have invited the village into that opportunity, and they seem very interested in it. So,
Because I quite honestly, I can see why they don't want to do the general services.
Yeah.
But it strikes me on the highway side and the DPW side, we'd have a chance.
there seems to be a lot of interest there in that. Not all, by all parties. It seems like everybody is interested in that.
Okay.
Anything else? Thank you. So, back to the agenda, we took care of item number 8, so we'll go to item number 9. Resolution establishing the standard workday through the office of the comptroller. Do I have a motion?
So,
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Wow. Controversial. So for point of discussion, this, as you all know, New York State requires municipalities to establish a standard workday for the purposes of reporting time worked for the members of the local retirement system. The standard workday is one of two ways. You either track it in a calendar if you don't keep a timesheet, or you provide a timesheet to the town, and that counts as tracking. This really is a resolution we typically do at the beginning of the year, but because we have a new judge, the clerk of the town justice, Joelle Ventris, is considered a new appointee for the purposes of tracking her time. So we have to adopt this as a tracking system, and for her to continue to report her hours into the retirement system. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittlavani?
Yes.
Councilman Blulant?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution, Resolution 10, authorizing the submission of a 211 waiver. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Supervisor, the New York State Department of Civil Service requires that the appointing authority of an employee hired on the basis of Civil Service Law, Section 211 waiver, reapply for such waiver on behalf of such individual and formally approve it. The town board of the town of Glenville believes that Police Chief Rinaldi has performed his duties in an outstanding manner and desires to continue to retain his service as a police chief. And the town board believes that currently there are no other candidates qualified to serve as the chief of police for the town of Glenville. And therefore, we'd like to authorize the submission of a Civil Service Law Section 211 waiver application to the New York State Department of Civil Service on behalf of Chief Rinaldi.
Any other questions or comments? No, I say this, we need you, Officer Kirker, here to help us with this. He's not here tonight, correct? And it is April Fool's Day. I need you to text him that it failed. The resolution failed. And I see how fast it takes him to get back. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittlavani?
Yes.
Councilman Blulant?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution, Resolution 11, scheduling a public hearing for April 15th regarding a permanent easement for Niagara Mohawk. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, this is a resolution scheduling a public hearing on a resolution authorizing the transfer of permanent utility easement to Niagara Mohawk Power Corporation. And basically, this is for an easement in Malik Park along by Lot 8 so that they can bore a hole under the river and connect the power lines to their power station across the river. And this would be to schedule a public hearing on April 15th, commencing at 7 o'clock here at the Town Municipal Center for that purpose.
Excellent. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittlavani?
Yes.
Councilman Blulant?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, Resolution 12, designating a representative for the town's DEC Route 50 sanitary sewer feasibility study project. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, this is a resolution in regards to the grant that the town received, I think late last year on the CFA funding round for $30,000 to undertake an engineering study of extending sewer line up Route 50, and it's designating you as the authorized person to execute the grant agreement with the state. That's basically it.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittlavani?
Yes.
Councilman Blulant?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, Resolution 13, authorizing the local matching funds for the grant we just talked about. Any motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, as you just indicated, this is a resolution that provides the required match for the grant that we received. At a grant of $30,000, the town would be required to provide a $10,000 match, and we're doing so by the provision of in-kind services to the effort. So there's no cash outlay out of the town budget.
Excellent. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Blount?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution, Resolution 14, scheduling a public hearing for Wednesday, April 15th, regarding a proposed local law regarding a moratorium. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, this is a resolution that's received some attention in the newspaper of late, and it concerns the moratorium on adult uses that are currently allowed in one district in our code that extends along Freeman's Bridge Road. Due to recent, developments in and around that corridor, we feel it's in the best interest of the community to delay any kind of movement on such uses for a period of time that we can study this further, most notably in our comprehensive planning process, take a more thorough look at this during a temporary period here. I believe this is for 6 months, right, Mike? And that'll give us an opportunity to look at this issue and find where the best place to accommodate this type of use is in the community. And that's the purpose of this resolution. It gets that process started by the public hearing. I believe it's set for the 15th.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Blount?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 15, approving the town board minutes for March 18th. Do I have a motion?
So
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Moved and second. Any discussion, questions, deletions? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Blount?
I'll abstain.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, before we move to new business, we'll go to the add-ons, and I failed to mention, until I flipped over my sheet, that we have an executive session to discuss contract issues. So we'll be going to executive session at the end of this, after new business. You're free to stay. I don't anticipate we'll do any further public business afterwards, so I wouldn't advise it, but you are free to stay. So, we'll move on to the add-ons. We have two add-ons. Add-on resolution number 1, authorizing the supervisor and our highway superintendent to enter into an agreement with DOT. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Supervisor, as you stated, this is an agreement between the Village of Scotia, the Town of Glenville, and the DOT regarding the traffic safety issues on Sacandaga Road across from the high school. They're looking to reduce the speed limit and place additional signage and some flashing lights, and this would authorize us to enter into the agreement.
We did, just for clarification, we did pass this before, but it did not have the, we passed the resolution supporting the project, but we did not have the amounts that we were to expend on this, which is a one-time $150 amount for the sidewalk and an ongoing cost of $429 per year, which is a third of the maintenance, flashing light, maintenance and electricity. So all these costs are split a third between us, the school district, and the village. So this just authorizes the expenditure of that money. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pittavani?
Yes.
Councilman Blount?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 2, add-on 2, resolution authorizing the supervisor to accept the lowest bid regarding town electricity cost. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
second.
Moved in second. Just for point of discussion, as you recall, we're in an electric purchasing agreement. That's a way of trying to keep our electric bills down by adding some certainty into our budgeting and signing on for a longer-term contract. Those agreements are up, and of course, every time they are, we like to authorize our energy consultant to solicit competitive bids. And of course, this resolution would allow for that, and would authorize me to sign a contract in the case that we get a bid that is time sensitive and that is below our current bid is spelled out, below our current costs that are spelled out. So basically, if we get something cheaper and we have to act on it, I have the authority to act on it from where we are now. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Tattelbaum?
Yes.
Councilman Blumer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Final, new business will be the next agenda item, and we'll start on the left with Councilman Blumer.
I might as well get out of the gate early. Today, there was quite a bit of social media hysteria about Time Warner Cable and Fios in Glenville. So I took it upon myself to contact some management at Verizon about Fios in the town and how you go about it, because there seems to be some conversation that the reason that Fios does not have the ability or any kind of foothold in the town is the fault of the town of Glenville, which is totally false. Time Warner does not have a contract with Glenville at this point, correct?
They're operating.
They're out.
The
Old contract.
Yeah, but it's not been renewed.
So one of the questions I had with management, it wasn't a local, it was somebody that was out of the state. And basically, this woman explained to me that it doesn't matter if Time Warner has a cable with a municipality, Verizon can do whatever they want to do. And that there is areas in Glenville who do have the ability, because I called and I said, could you check this address and this address and this address? And there's quite a few of them on Freeman's Bridge Road. So I just wanted to get that out there because it kind of took a bad turn, social media
So
wise.
even if we have a contract, Fios can still.
They do not care one bit what Time Warner's contract is, if we have one or not. Fios is their own thing, and it's an engineering thing, and they already have a master plan of where they're gonna go. And if a resident or a development wants Fios, then they need to contact, it has nothing to do with the town of Glenville. They need to contact Verizon and request a development or a street or whatever, and if there's enough people
Right.
that want to buy into it, then they will.
Yep.
But there seems to be some false thought process that it's our fault, the town of Glenville, that they don't have Fios, and that's just totally false. So I just wanted to kind of clarify it a bit.
I want Fios.
Me too. I've called.
The question is, when they offer cable TV as part of that package, they are also subject to a franchise agreement requirement. So, you know, they're in the city of Schenectady, they have their franchise agreement with, you know, Verizon and their package. They're in Scotia Colony, they're in Scotia. So, and as Councilman Blunt pointed out, they've made their strategic decision about where they're gonna go, starting with the most densely populated areas where they could get the most bang for their buck.
It's very frustrating though, because like by me, there's that, kind of weird boundary line for Scotia that extends way up into Stone Gate there, Stone Ridge in that area. They all have Fios available. It's 2 blocks from my house and they will not extend the service. They just will not do it. Probably because like you say, they have to enter into a franchise agreement.
Well, when they have a cable franchise, now they package a lot with Dish TV or whatever.
Oh, I
it is.
see.
So that's not subject to franchise.
Thank you, Councilman Martin. Councilwoman Wozzachowski.
I have no new business.
Councilman Martin.
No new business.
Councilman Triplani.
No new business?
All right, and I have no new business either. So we'll go to executive session, and again, we don't anticipate any further business. I'll entertain a motion to go to executive session.
I'll move it.
Second,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Go to executive session.